Hello everybody, this is Gruesome Fox coming at you with a 700 cost rated match here in the Sinanju Stein. We're going to be on Mining City for this match here, and the Sinanju Stein is a 700 cost 4-star raid, and it also recently got a level 2 version for 750 now. But the Sinanju Stein was recently added to the RT store, making it a lot easier to obtain than doing through supply pools. And the Sinanju Stein is a suit that I've wanted for quite a while. I regretted not pulling for it during its initial banner, and since then really have just been waiting for it to come to the RT store just to get it. You know, in the instance I couldn't get it through a supply drop, which never happened, so really glad to be able to have this suit now, since I really do like the design of this suit. I've also tried to paint mine in the colors of the Anaheim Electronics version, because I like the white color scheme. I have the master grade of that kit, and I really want to see that version of the Stein get added to GBO2 at some point. I think it'd be interesting. I think it would have enough differences from both the Sinanju and the narrative version of the Stein to really differentiate it as its own mobile suit, especially since the Sinanju Stein is really missing some of its weapons. But I'll start with the weapons that the suit does have. So you do have the beam rifle for the Sinanju Stein here, which I do really like the beam rifle for this suit, especially since you are able to either rapid fire it or you're able to charge for an instant stun. Really feels more accurate to how Zoltan used this beam rifle in narrative. You also get a beam saber as your only melee weapon, and this beam saber does come with a pretty decent heavy attack, so also a really nice aspect of this suit as well. You do have a pair of head-mounted Vulcans, which I believe are similar, if not the exact same, as the base Sinanju. And then for another sub-range weapon, you do get a bazooka. So that bazooka is a pretty standard bazooka. It has 4 rounds and is a instant stun. So, you know, pretty good follow-up to maybe the beam rifle, or if you want to go bazooka into beam rifle. You have a few options you can do with that. Bazooka into melee, so really, you know, for having a simple kit as you do, it does leave quite a few options open. Another unique aspect of the Stein here is that you do also get the active purge skill, and that's with the fuel tanks on the back. I used it very early in the match against the enemy's Sinanju, where you are able to launch your propellant tanks forward, which will not only deal damage to an enemy, but also heavy stagger them as well. And to your mobile suit, it will give you increased mobility, but decrease your thruster gauge. So it is a very nifty skill from the way that I've been using it. If you want to set up a heavy attack for something, you can always use it like that. In the case I used it earlier against the Sinanju, I'm trying to make sure I don't say it's Sinanju and Sinanju Stein, but I don't think the enemy team has a Sinanju, so no, they don't have a Stein, but they have a base Sinanju. The way I used it against the enemy Sinanju, yeah, they were low on health, and I used it as a finisher while they were trying to chase after me. Again, really kind of leaves a bit to what you can do with this suit's kit for how small it is compared to other suits at the same cost. Speaking of that, though, you are missing some weapons from the Sinanju Stein, which I think is very interesting, the weapons that were omitted. You don't have a shield. That's probably the most glaring thing with this version of the Stein, is that it is missing its shield. I assume that was maybe for balancing reasons, or maybe to make it a bit more unique from the base Sinanju, which does have its shield. That's really my only assumption as to that. I don't know if there's any other reason, maybe because of the grenade launcher that they could have attached to the shield. Like, there are things they could have done if they included it. Again, I think maybe it was more of a balancing thing, but aside from the shield being missing, you don't have the beam Naginata either that the Stein briefly uses when it's piloting the Neo Zeong 2. It only gets it for like a couple seconds, so I can understand why they likely omitted it from this, but you know, if they wanted to ever give the suit a second melee weapon, that could be an interesting choice for what they could do, but really that's the two weapons that come to mind that are really just missing from this suit. Again, one's not even really a weapon. You have the shield and then the Naginata. The grenade launcher, they could probably do without, considering you get a pretty decent beam rifle and the giant bazooka as well, so they probably could have omitted the grenade launcher. Maybe they could have put it on the shield. Really don't know what they would have done if it had it, but despite the missing weapons, I do think the Sinanju Stein here is a pretty fun raid to use. Glad to finally be able to use it. It does make me want the Anaheim Electronics version even more, though. I'm really surprised we have not gotten that version of the Stein before it got captured by the sleeves. I think if they did the AE Stein, and maybe that's what they can call it too, they can call it the Sinanju Stein AE, or maybe just call it the Sinanju Stein, I think they could do some interesting things with that suit. Really, I feel like with the weapons it has, it would maybe play like a funnelless version of the new Gundam. I think that would be a very interesting idea to do, because the shield on that suit does have a beam cannon and missiles, so again, something that they could do, and I think it could also be a 700 as well. Maybe a 4-star, not entirely too sure what they could do, if they made it a 4-star. Maybe they'll make it a lower star count now that we do have suits like the F90, which is another native 700, which isn't a 4-star. Pretty similar to the prototype Sazabi, so maybe we can start getting more 700s that are 3 stars, if they wanted to do that with the base Sinanju Stein. Given the other two are 4 stars, though, I don't necessarily know if they would go that route. But really, in the end of the day, it would be up to the devs to really decide what they would want to do. I'm going in with the heavy attack there against what I think may have been a Phoenix. I think the enemy team, I don't remember how many Phoenixes they have. They might only have the one, and I'm thinking of a different match that had 3 of them. But there is the enemy's base Sinanju, going to get the assist on them. Unfortunately, I did think I accidentally knocked over a teammate, but I'm going to apologize and try to go in for another heavy attack against this unicorn. It doesn't look like I did a whole lot of damage from what I'm seeing, but, still got the knockdown on him, so, any action is better than none. I'm going to try to go in again. Unfortunately, I think I whiffed on a teammate and hit the wall, so not something I really considered when using the suit's heavy attack, that there was a possibility. But, yeah, looks like somebody was able to finish the unicorn in the last couple seconds there, so pretty good. And that's going to be a mission completed. Let's see how we did here with the Sinanju Stein. And top in individual. And first place with 7 kills and 1 loss. Second place in damage, so not too bad here for the Stein. I guess I should mention that this is really called the Sinanju Stein ZA, but I didn't want to throw that in the entire video. But yeah, this one is specifically labeled as Zoltan's Sinanju Stein, which again really gives me reason to think that maybe at some point they'll add the Anaheim Electronics version of the suit. Again, I would love to see it, but for right now I am pretty content with the Sinanju Stein ZA here. I think if it's a suit that you think looks interesting, I do think it's worth getting. I don't think this suit is really on the same level that it was in the past, since I remember the Sinanju Stein for a while used to be considered one of, if not the best supports for 700, but I think those days have kind of long passed. We've had some more additions to the roster ever since, things have gotten buffed and whatnot, so I don't know if this suit necessarily carries that same high position it did in the past, but I do think for what it offers, again, if it's something that interests you and it's something that, looks like something that you would enjoy playing, then I would definitely say pick it up. Again, it's in the RT store at the moment, along with the Narrative Gundam B-Packs, so yeah, those are always there, at least at the moment, so if you want to get them while they're there, but yeah, that's everything I have to say for this video here. Comment down below what you think about the Sinanju Stein ZA. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And with that, I will see you all in the next one. Later.